This is Gun Control.
My name's Ripley, you may remember me.
My name's Phil McTaggart, formerly Phil Perm.
Play drums, used to be in a band called
Gun Control, who then became FUNHOUSE.
Those were the days.
Mid 1980, I hooked up with a guitarist from the high school I was in, and basically from 1981 onwards we found Rip, and he was a singer, and then we auditioned and got Paul in on drums.
Yeah, we met up in Elizabeth actually. I answered an ad for a drummer. It was late 79, early 1980.
Then Justin, who was a guitarist, subsequently left, and we found Kelly, and he blew us away.
Kelly, yes. Kelly Hewson. He of, at that time, Agent Orange fame. Yes, Kelly came into a rehearsal, and we rehearsed all these guitarists.
I use no tactics seriously to render helpless the enemy. I'll blow up fuse in his computer brain, for whatever I do, it ain't the same. And I want to put the army to shame and sound the bureaucracy my own way.
Kelly was the only one who played the song absolutely perfectly, as though it was just off the record, and we were sold straight away.
The members of the Gun Control were Rip Savage was the vocalist, lead singer. Kelly Hewson was guitarist. Paul Lockhead on drums.
It's in my pocket, charge the paper, the rage is to talk, rocket. We're going to the top of the political world. No tactics are all you need to make a little red.
And Phil Perm, that's me, on bass.
We had, Peter Pisshead, of all names, that helped us out for a while there, and obviously with a name like that, we only got so far with him as a manager. But we had, was it Chris?
Yeah, Chris was a mate that we met in town that was right into music.
Okay, the venues we played at would have been the Tivoli Hotel, the Producers Hotel, the Alma, the Angus, a lot of parties.
My most memorable gig was the Tivoli in the city, because it was just such a good little room. The stage was quite a good size, and it was sort of like a professional gig compared to a lot of the pubs where we just played on the floor.
It was a more showy sort of venue. There was one particular gig there that we did, which some of which was captured on video and footage, where there was a big fight in the audience, and as I found out afterwards, that there was blood in the toilet and all that sort of thing, and was actually captured on video, although a video that some may have seen was edited, where I was actually stopped mid-sentence of a song and was having a go at the people that were brawling down the front.
We played with Steve Lowy's band. We played with my brother's, he was in a band called the Malicious Sods, although I don't remember if we actually played with them, but great band. The Screaming Believers. And the Spikes was another great band we did gigs with. We did lots of great gigs with a great Adelaide band called the Skunks.
A handful of bands that were great, Grong. One that I remember was These Cars Collide, because they were so inventive, you know.
Yeah, we like them in particular. There was many a great gig in terms of in Adelaide. There was an afternoon gig at the Producers Hotel. I remember it was fantastic. It was in an afternoon, and there was quite a few bands playing, and they had a great beer garden in the back there. The producers at the time.
We changed the name from Gun Control to Funhouse in about, would have been 1984, and we just moved to Sydney, and democracy is a terrible thing, and for some crazy reason half the band thought we should change the name, and so we all basically went down that slippery slope to Funhouse.
Our first interstate gig was in Sydney at the Vulcan Hotel, so I remember we went down there just about the first day we arrived, and it's a nice little pub and Ultimo.
Paul Loghead thought of the name, and we all thought, yeah, that was good, because at the time Funhouse, the Iggy Pop album Funhouse, Iggy and the Stooges, was our favourite album. It was on the turntable all the time, so I think that was our main inspiration at the time.
In terms of influences, I mean, we were influenced by everything. The fact that we were all different ages was kind of interesting. I mean, that Phil and I were sort of the same age, but Paul was a bit older, and then I think Kelly was a bit older than him, and so there were all sorts of musical influences coming into that band, which is one of the reasons I think that it worked.
Originally we were going to move to Melbourne, but we decided, we were talked out of it by some friends who said go straight to Sydney. So we went to Sydney and basically scratched around for some gigs, and it was like we were starting all over again.
Playing a lot of the Strawberry Hills and
Strawberry Hills. We did that's right. I actually remember a Strawberry Hills gig we did that was spectacular, where it was packed, and we played with someone who was quite popular. I can't remember who it was, and I was swinging the microphone stand around above. I think I was missing people's heads by that much.
A lot of the songs were written by Kelly, and I'll say Rip co-wrote a lot of songs with Kelly as well, and I wrote quite a few in the earlier days and kept going and co-wrote a lot with Rip as well, and Paul also contributed a few songs as well.
Kelly's contribution was very much more of a political angle, which was great because that's how we felt too, but he had a wonderful way of putting it. The
Conspicuous Consumption and Retaliation single was recorded, I would say, late 1983, if I remember. I can't exactly remember where we recorded it, but Pete Best was the producer at the time.
Beirut's Burning was a popular song that we used to do that had the rock reggae.
Beirut's Burning. Let's have some fun now.
Berserk in the second part of it.
1, 2, 3, 4!
Previously we did a 4-track demo at Enterprise Studios with songs like No Tactics and Give Me Security at the same place. So Incidentally, the owner of Enterprise Studios was my old French teacher.
Definitely a big political angle on some of the songs. And yeah, there was other songs, and this is Kelly included. He didn't just write political songs. There was a great epic song we did called "What Is Truth But Death."
The band had a bit of trouble in Sydney after about, I don't know, maybe 6 months or maybe a bit longer.
We were quite naive at the time. I guess one weekend we parked our car in Chippendale for 5 minutes or so and went into a friend's house, and we were on the way to play that night, and when we came out the cars were gone and all the gear was gone, so yeah, that was a bummer. Bit of a setback.
All of my bass gear, all of Kelly's guitars and amps and the drums and the whole lot was stolen, and none of it was insured, and that was basically the death knell for Funhouse at that time. So after that we struggled on for a bit, and we had a lot of support from a lot of local bands around who helped us out, and a lot had gone through similar experiences, so that was very heartening to have all that support. But eventually it just sort of fell apart just after that.
The setback that I don't think that the band ultimately ever recovered from, it was, I mean we did recover in a way, and in the sense that all these wonderful Sydney bands like the Young Doctors, etc., got together and did this fantastic benefit gig.
Well, since then, after about 1987, I moved back to Adelaide, and I was in a band with a friend, Sean, who was the guitarist from the Malicious Sods and various other brilliant early heavy punk bands, and we formed a band called Cage, which initially had Chris from the Skunks playing drums with us for a while, and various other great musos. That went for a while, and then I was in a band, I formed an Irish folk band with my brother called the Grandview Grovers, and that went on a crazy alcoholic tangent for a while.
I play with a band called the Celibate Rifles in Sydney, and we do a few shows now and then. They've been going for over 20 years, so we don't rush out and play that much nowadays. But and I've been doing a bit of stuff with Rid in various sort of combos. Playing with Jim Magini.
That's it, basically.
I mean, ever since then, I mean, after Funhouse, I joined a really big Sydney band at the time called Mushroom Planet, which we used to tour with. We went to Adelaide and played and sold a shitload of records overseas, and we're on the verge of doing a world tour, and which was will go down as one of the great disappointments of my life, was the fact that this band, Mushroom Planet, had sold all these records, and we were about to go overseas and did this world tour, and the band broke up.
Adelaide had a huge punk scene, you know, back then, and it's a pity that it's not. It used to be sort of more like the punk capital of Australia.